Can you hear me? How are we? We're great, Bear. I'm looking at the chat to make sure that we're actually connected because, yeah, YouTube, welcome to all the noobs. You know, do the thing, subscribe, ring the little bell icon. Rhonda Miller, 5x5, thank you so much. Most importantly, what's up, Tato? Shalom, brother. Most importantly, please share the show. You know, YouTube algorithm doesn't love us. We don't love it back. We've been shadow banned here for a couple years, probably something like that. Last piece of content we put up got 30,000 views. There's 225,000 people subscribed. So make sure, if you want to be subscribed, that you are. And unfortunately, you got to go search out our content. Okay, you got to go look for it. So with that, good morning. It is the 2nd of January, 2025. I am not at home. Praise the Most High. I'm in the high mountains, and I've been trying to take a little bit of a sabbatical here lately, and it seems that the events of the day will not allow a complete disconnection from society. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And this is all stream of consciousness, no particular order, not a written brief. This is just stuff that I have observed and trends and patterns and all of that for the purposes of preservation of life for you and your people. Okay, so not to freak out, not to be scared, not to do anything irrational, but to try and have as much of a solid handle on what it is that's actually happening so that we can plan appropriately, prepare appropriately, weather whatever storm may come. What's up, JC Fixer? Good morning. Yeah, high mountain town with Pastor Bear. Yeah, I'm currently sitting at about 9,300 feet. It's cool. It's not cool. It's cold. I believe it was 9 degrees at sunup this morning. So, as many of y'all, most of y'all are probably tracking, we had this thing that went down in New Orleans, okay? So you had a guy in an F-250 that was part of the vehicle itself was a rideshare vehicle. Aircraft. Part of a rideshare vehicle, allegedly, American citizen, U.S. Army veteran, we're going to get to that in a minute, who was a property manager who, per his brother, got radicalized by ISIS. Do some digging on that. If you want to jump into that wormhole, ISIS, the first known use of that term ISIS comes from an interview in 1982 referring to the Israeli Special Intelligence Service. So is ISIS actually Mossad? Maybe. And that's why our content is demonetized, gets no algorithmic traction, etc., etc. Okay, so continuing, this dude, his brother says he's radicalized by ISIS. He decides to drive his pickup truck into a crowd of people in New Orleans, hops out, was wearing body armor, some type of AR-15 rifle, magazines, etc., etc. Hops out of the truck, starts shooting. Law enforcement is pretty Johnny on the spot, takes the guy out. Okay, tragedy. This whole mess glows. That's exactly right, Okie Storm Chase. We're going to get to that in a moment. That's the direction we're driving at here. Right? Define your terms, define your enemy, define your ideal end state. Then that determines what courses of action we should or shouldn't take. Okay, cool. So this glowy ass situation goes down in New Orleans. Then hours later, you have a Tesla Cybertruck, a rented vehicle, parks itself in front of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. V-bed explodes. Looks like some combination of homemade explosives and fireworks. Okay, but it explodes in front of Trump's property in Las Vegas. Now, on the surface, what's the messaging here, right? Well, it's a Tesla Cybertruck. That's Elon Musk, okay? and Trump, right? And it's a disapproval here. I forget the guy's name. I could probably find it. But the guy who, see, here's the thing. There's all kinds of telemetry and cameras on this Tesla Cybertruck. So this guy gets caught. Mike Berg, Larvisberger. I don't remember this fella. Let me see if I can do a little digging. I'm on vacation right now, so I'm doing the best I can with what I got, where I'm at. So here's the deal. This guy who drove the Tesla Cybertruck, VBED, it blows up. Matthew Livelsberger, or Matt Berg as he's known. Turns out this guy is allegedly, and all this is unconfirmed, okay? This guy was U.S. Army Special Forces, had a connection to Fort Bragg, which is also where the shooter/driver in New Orleans happened to have been stationed there at one time, which is also Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty, the same place based upon extensive cell phone, laptop, and vehicle GPS data analysis going back 4 years. Ryan Wesley Routh, the second attempted assassination, what would you call him? Assassin of President Donald Trump. That guy only visited Fort Bragg 147 times, staying overnight on 29 occasions. Now, all this is yet to be unconfirmed. Will the truth ever come out? Who knows? But this guy, Matthew Livelsberger, that dude, huge supporter of Ukraine. His wife radicalized against Trump. Okay, so this guy goes active. So the New Orleans thing, the FBI comes out almost immediately with some DEI hire who can barely speak English, saying this is not a terror attack. This is not a part of a larger attack. This is not a coordinated incident. However, the guy, Shamoud, whatever his name was, the shooter in New Orleans, is tied back to a known terror cell in College Station, Texas, that is currently now being super investigated by the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. The plot thickens. After the VBED blows up in Las Vegas, there then, allegedly unrelated, is a hostage situation where you have over 100 law enforcement officers trying to talk one guy off the fence in downtown Vegas. Okay. Is it the same guy? I don't know. Who knows? Then you have going on, hours later, there's an element of coordination to this, is the point that I'm getting at. Hours later, you have in New York City, Lower Manhattan, thousands of pro-Hamas, air quote, protesters marching in the streets calling for intifada. For those that don't know what intifada is, Islam, the religion of peace, their idea of peace, the radicalized version of Islam, because there's good people and bad people everywhere. I've met some really nice pagans. I don't hang out with them, but they're not terrible people. They're all dicked up in the head and the heart when it comes to their form of worship, okay? So the radicalized version of Islam, the religion of peace, their idea here is they're going to bring peace by the sword, convert or die, right? Death to the infidel, death to America, death to Israel, etc., etc., etc. And one of the key undertones you'll notice here is going back decades, is this undercurrent, decades if not 100+ years if we get into the Rothschilds, is this undercurrent of Israel and Zionism being tied directly to every national conflict and internal conflict the United States has had, or at least 8 out of 10, over the last 100+ years. 150, arguably, if we want to go back to the American Civil War. But that's a different rabbit hole, okay? So, radical Islam, pro-Hamas supporters, marching downtown Lower Manhattan, screaming for an intifada, okay? Islam and Christianity are the same. Odin is a true god. Big saw cat, you're retarded. Odin is in the Bible. He's in Genesis 6 verse 4. Odin, I'm not saying Odin wasn't real. Odin is a form of corrupted flesh. And our Bible talks about people like Odin, the men of renown, Genesis 6, verse 4. And you can worship Odin all you want. However, you're worshiping something that was created rather than the creator. You do you, boo. This is the United States of America. You're welcome to be as right or wrong about God and religion as you want to be. That's not one of the things that I would get wrong, because at the end of an age, you're going to get your pee-pee schwacked by Messiah, and he's going to be 0% impressed with your theology. Okay? So, Lower Manhattan, you have thousands of pro-Hamas protesters screaming for intifada. Okay? What is that? What is an intifada? That's a holy war against the unbelievers. It's a holy war against the unbelievers. Who's that? Us. Now, is that a coincidence? Probably not. At a minimum, it was orchestrated. Is it that call for intifada that is the signal that allows the other sleeper cells to go active? Because the FBI is now the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who suck shit at their job. The organization as a whole is terrible. I know some good FBI agents inside of that organization, but they're a handful of them. Okay, a handful of them. Just like the Secret Service is shit. I know a handful of good Secret Service agents. The organization itself is terrible. I know a handful of good Catholics. The Catholic Church is horrendous. Okay, so forth and so on. Pick an organization. They all suck. So the FBI is now saying that this is a terror attack and that this was a sleeper cell. Okay. Well, the FBI has also said previously there are at least 4,000 sleeper cells here. So how much deeper does this go? And what actions on the objective, if you will, if you're the bad guy, have to take place in order for your actions to be considered successful? Well, there's been an interesting uptick in subway violence, hasn't there? You got random people being set on fire in the subway. There's been people who have been being pushed in front of the trains as they're coming at the last moment so that the trains will run over the top of them. You had a mass shooting in New York City last night, 11 dead, myriads injured. All of which is leading up to January 20th, the inauguration. Notice nobody's talking about drones now all of a sudden. Nobody's talking about the chemical fog. Okay, the subway shit was plotted, says Mr. F-U-C-R. I can pronounce your name, but I'm trying to keep this relatively family-friendly. Shalom, Kylem. It is plotted, and that's my point. So if you have a network of scumbags that are activated, the scumbaggery that is activated can run the gamut from pushing somebody in front of an oncoming train to driving a pickup truck into a crowd of people and start shooting, to putting a V-bed in a Tesla Cybertruck, to let's wait for hacking. That's likely to be happening in the near future. And if I was to do all this, when would I start hacking? Well, there's an unprecedented cold front coming. Unprecedented cold front coming. The grid is already going to be strained. Already going to be strained. This would be a great time to start taking generation offline, wouldn't it? Okay. And so I bring all this to you while I'm on vacation during sabbatical because shit is weird. Shit is very, very weird. So if these sleeper cells have been activated, here's my question. How does that affect you in your life? What are you going to do that? What are you going to do about that? What are the moves you're going to be making right now? Preparedness is very simple, very basic. First of all, it's a mindset. It's not just buying a bunch of shit and putting it on a shelf or in a closet somewhere and going, I'm a prepper now, I'm good to go. Preparedness is a mindset. And so mitigating risk, not taking unnecessary risk, maintaining situational awareness, don't put yourself in bad positions. Avoid crowded places. That's a common theme. By the way, have you seen what's happening in Germany? You had the Magdeburg, Germany, another dude, radical Muslim, imported into the country who drove his Vic into a Christmas market, killed a bunch of people, and then now, right now, the premier of Germany, I forget what kind of socialist nonsense they label their people with, but one of the top chicas over there in Germany has basically said we've got civil war type violence ongoing on the ground in major cities in Germany. Okay. Exactly, Rick S. It's a way of life. So here I am on vacation, and I'm not anywhere near my house, but I have multiple ways to get back to my house. I have spare fuel with me. I have all the prepper things with me. I have a QRF established. I have nodes and waypoints already planned to GTFO out of here if I have to. Minuteman Millennial, or Millennial Minuteman PACE, correct. Primary alternate contingency emergency. One of the things that comes to mind, because I'm me, founder and CEO of Refuge Medical, is do you have the ability to work a mass casualty incident? Most people don't. Most people don't even have a good first aid kit, let alone like the ability to actually use it, let alone the ability to treat 5 or more casualties. Because in all of these incidents, there were more than 5 casualties. And I'll tell you, look at all the shit talkers in the comments. I love it. I'll tell you this. If you have 5 people in your vehicle and you get into a motor vehicle accident, that's a mass casualty incident. And that's one of the most likely threats you're going to face today. Okay? Mr. Trench Trucker said, logistics for SHTF over the road are incredibly complex. I decided on half a Minuteman loadout myself since I shouldn't ever stray from my truck for too long. Yeah, I mean, I've got armor and nods with me, chest rigs with me, stomp bags with me. We've got 2 Vics, so we've got a bump plan, spare fuel, communications, paper maps, blah, 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 food, water, all those things, just to get back home again. And to what? To maybe a grid down scenario where I got to stoke the wood stove up, and because there's not enough power to go around. So, speaking of trucks, there's one of them. I do. What's up, Tommy Salter? I do. I've been in an MCI before. Me too, homie. Shalom, brother. So, you want to be, if you've been taking your preparedness lightly, or if you had your foot off the accelerator, it's a good time to do all the basics. Do all the basics, man. Food, water, shelter, a way to stay warm. How much food, how much water, what kind of shelter, prepper classroom, watch the playlist here, or just use common sense. It's just common sense. How long do you want to be prepared for? If it's a week, do the math for a week. If it's 2 weeks or a month, do the math for 2 weeks or a month. If it's 7 years, do the math for 7 years. It's as simple as that. But I think we're going to see even more shenaniganry. And now let's talk about the crazy stuff. What the hell is going on with Fort Bragg? What is going on there? So we've got a Trump assassin, attempted assassin, tied to it. John Wesley Ralph. We've got the V-Bed bomber, Schmeckelberger, whatever the hell his name is, Matthew Livesberger, Cybertruck bomber from Vegas, alleged Green Beret. I'm unconfirmed at this point because I'm trying to ski with my family and hang out, not be just completely enraptured by the intel cycle right now. What are you stealing out of my truck? You bored? Okay. Acceptable. Then you've got the Las Vegas terrorist, Gary Grimm, bless you, thank you for the super chat. You've got the Las Vegas terrorist with ties to Fort Bragg. He was stationed there. Also tied, per the FBI, to a known cell in College Station, Texas. Which, where is all this taking place? Populated areas, College Station, Texas. There's 4,000 known terror cells here. You have Sarah Adams, call sign Superbad from the Sean Ryan show, saying that there's over 1,000 trained ISIS militants here. ISIS again, that term going back to 1982, standing for Israeli Special Intelligence Service. You have Trump, who says that Hillary Clinton and Obama were the founders of ISIS. Maybe. But I think you have a lot of earmuffs, kids, fuckery going on here with Mossad in order to get the great Satan, that's us, spun up around the finger of the little Satan, that's them, Israel, the nation state of Israel, to basically do their bidding, to the point now that your American taxpayer dollars are now paying for the medical care of IDF soldiers. And again, I know IDF soldiers. I like them. They're cool dudes. And geopolitically, if we had to pick anybody to back over there in the Middle East, I suppose it would be Israel. But I don't really like having my puppet strings pulled. Exactly, Badger Mama, the USS Liberty, 100%, right? And so when Trump talks about he's going to drain the swamp and revolt against the deep state, what deep state? Where do you think, how do you think these people got in? Who runs all the banks? Who funds Hollywood? Who produces all this content that's on Netflix and Amazon and all this other shit? Who owns the social media platforms? Zuckerberg. I wonder what kind of name that is. On and on and on and on and on. Okay? Now, make no mistake, that doesn't mean that Hamas and the Palestinians are saints either. Amanda Morris, shalom. Thanks. So there's a big long-term play, 150 years play that's ongoing here that people are just starting to wake up to. And my point here is the uphill battle politically in the United States of America, with number 47 getting in, is not just removing bureaucracy through DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, in Washington, D.C. It's how did that bureaucracy get there in the first place? There's so much cover for action inside of the United States federal government and Department of Defense for all kinds of shenanigans to go on. All kinds of shenanigans to go on. I mean, who is it that killed Kennedy? The CIA. Yeah. And what else have they been doing, the CIA, since then? Oh, a whole hell of a lot. But you get these influencers out here on the internet now with their top podcasts and YouTube channels and all that. Well, they former CIA operations officer. Dude, I don't know if I want to trust you. Now, again, I know good people inside of CIA, but the mechanism itself, the agency itself, not so good. Not so good. You shall know them by their fruits. And all this, I think, is ramping up towards keeping 47 out of office and or changing his opinion, his courses of action on the things that matter the most to them. There will be concessions. There will be, all right, DJT, Mr. Trump, you can have X, Y, and Z, but you will not mess with A, B, and C. Okay? You're going to have to capitulate on A, B, and C. The Art of the Deal. That's his book, The Art of the Deal. So, yeah, you can be populist, you can be conservative, you can have a few small wins to keep your base rallied. But all these sacred cows, you are not allowed to slaughter. And remember, the failsafe of 400,000 and 1.2 million military-age males that have come across our southern border for no other reason than to go active if needed, if you, our friends, our homies get a little bit too uppity. We're 4 days away from January 6th again. I guess the point of this entire coffee time with Bear is keep your head on a swivel, pay attention, make sure you know what's going on, and look for the threads in what looks like unrelated things that are happening, because they appear to be very, very related. Very, very related. And when you view all this through the lens of there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people here that are bad actors, that their entire purpose of being here is to allow the upper echelons of our political society to maintain power, maintain control, it all starts to make a lot more sense. And our own people, the best of the best, are being radicalized against us as well. Okay? So do the things, and pay attention, man. Yeah, that's it. You guys know the drill. The show is brought to you by this guy right here. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey, Yahuwah, the Lord your God, the creator of the universe, the creator of Odin, the creator of all, the one Echad. It's brought to you by Refuge Medical. I am the founder, CEO, and chief shilling officer for Refuge. We make the best first aid kits on planet Earth. You need to have one. You need to know how to use it, more importantly. I think right now, all orders over $100 get a free bleeding control webinar as well, free online training as well, and flat rate shipping and all the other good stuff. Go to the website refugemedical.com and let your fingers do the walking. We got what you need. I don't want you to be a casualty. I just don't. I want you to be in a position that if something bad happens around you, you can be a force for good for the preservation of life. Okay, that's what this entire channel is about. That's what everything we do is about, whether we're doing counter trafficking with Caleb House, we're doing tornado and hurricane remediation with Grindstone Ministries, or we're saving lives with Refuge Medical, or we're having conversations like this at Bear Independent. The whole point is the preservation of life. And no bullshit preservation of life. TJ, will you do another beanie run? Rick S, maybe. Maybe. These were never for sale because I don't want to monetize anything with the Father's name on it. It's just a personal conviction of mine. So these were, we did a run of I think 100 of these, and then the staff at Refuge, everybody grabbed one, and then we put the rest on Patreon, and first come first serve, and they were gone in like an hour. But I'll talk to the team about it, because that 100 or so beanies cost me about $2,000, and we just gave them away. That's a perk of being on Patreon, by the way. It's the first of the beginning of the month, beginning of the year. You get, I think it's 20% off if you sign up for the year. You get way more in-depth content over there as well. And it's Thursday, so we have our exclusive live stream tonight on Patreon, talking about everything that's happening in the world, probably from this spot where I'm sitting right here. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Keep your freaking head on a swivel, and be the light, man. Be the light. The world is losing its shit, and I don't want any of y'all within the sound of my voice negatively affected by the world. We are in the world, not of the world. We are all, whether we know it or not, sons and daughters of the Most High, and our job is to be weaponized for good, for the preservation of life. So may the Father make his face to smile upon you today. May you experience his peace, his shalom today, and I will see y'all when I see you. Shalom.